Alright, what's happening, y'all? Feel like it's debate time. I have a few debate topics I want to talk about. I'm gonna do one per video though, so that the comment sections are more clear, because when I try to consolidate videos, the comment sections be all over the place. One person will talk about one part of the video, another person will talk about all three, another person will talk about another part of the video, and it's just like, it's not like it's difficult to read through, but I just prefer a more coherent discussion in the comment section and debate. So I have a few debate topics. The first one I want to talk about, and I promise I am working on all these videos that I'm promising, but I hop on Twitter every now and then just to see what's going on in Redskins Nation, anything important going on. And literally just today, I've seen reports that led to all of these debate topics. The first one, I want to get a feel for Redskins Nation to see whether or not you prefer to take Chase Young, number 2 overall, or trade back. I'm going to give positives and negatives for each side, and then give y'all how I feel at the end. So let's get it. Alright, so what started this was I saw Jason LaCanfora report that the Skins have increased interest in trading down. And I'm not surprised, because with how Ron Rivera and the Redskins handled Rivera-era's first season with the Redskins through free agency, there's still a lot of holes. I mean, we signed Ronald Darby and Kendall Fuller and added Sean Davis as safety, but the DB room still has pretty big weaknesses, definitely at the very least uncertainties. And then tight end is still a huge need, like the biggest need on the team. We can assume left tackle is going to be a need if Trent Williams doesn't end up playing for us, whether we trade him or he decides to sit out again for some odd reason, or like fakes an injury. And that would be the pettiest way to go out Trent Williams. You come back, report the play, and then you act like you're hurt. I mean, what could the Redskins honestly do? Maybe they could take him to court or something? I don't know, but that's complicated. But either way, we have a pretty big need at left tackle also. Terry McLaurin could use a dynamic running mate. I do love Steven Simmons in the slot, and I love Kelvin Harmon's potential. But other than those three, it may be a little dark. I mean, Cody Latimer has some potential. He has the athletic traits and the upside. It's just whether or not the Redskins will actually be able to get it out of him. And we can't forget Cam Sims. But either way, wide receiver still has somewhat of a need. And our depth at guard is great, but we still haven't seen for sure that Wes Martin will win that left guard spot and start and produce consistently. Like, will he actually fill in and play very well and replace what we lost in Eric Flowers going to the Dolphins for $2 extra mil a year? I'm still confused why we didn't just go ahead and give him that $2 extra mil. They were willing to give him $8 mil, but weren't willing to give him 10. I'm still confused. And you have Rosh Pirschbacher, who can play center or any guard position, so that's good depth. And you also have Wes Schweitzer, who we just brought on over. But who knows if any of those three can actually make up for Eric Flowers' loss. Again, we have good offensive line depth, but as far as starters go, there's still some uncertainties right there. And the linebacker group too, a whole lot of potential with a lot of the young guys. And then you have Thomas Davis as the veteran presence. John Bostic kind of as a veteran presence too, but he wasn't out here going to the Pro Bowl and stuff like Thomas Davis was. But Thomas Davis is 37 years old. And then Reuben Foster, all of the potential in the world to be an all-pro linebacker, but we're not sure if he'll ever be NFL ready again. We've gotten some recent great news that not only does he have feeling back in his foot, but he's also running and sprinting. So it does look like he will be ready, but we definitely can't know that for sure. So the linebacker group has some questions. So in total, linebacker, cornerback, safety, guard, tackle, wide receiver, and huge need at tight end. Obvious need at tight end. That's the biggest need right now. We'll see what Logan Thomas and Richard Rodgers, Hale Hinges, Jeremy Sprinkle bring to the tight end room, but Redskins are more than likely going to at least have to draft one in this coming draft. More than likely soon, like the 3rd round. I prefer Adam Trautman in the 3rd. And with Thaddeus Moss getting hurt, he may even slide to the 5th or 6th round. I also like Cole Kmet. He's the safest tight end in the draft. But there's no surefire this guy's going to be George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz coming out of this draft class. There's not even an O.J. Howard prospect who hasn't even been as elite as people thought he would be for the Buccaneers yet. But I'm saying all that to say that the Redskins have a lot of holes everywhere after this free agency period, and trading back to accumulate more picks and to be able to bring in more young talent definitely seems like a solid option. I could definitely see why after free agency, once we've seen how the Redskins didn't fill a lot of the needs that they had, that trading back would make even more sense, and the fact that the Redskins are considering it even more than they were before. And I can see the positives of trading back. I mean, you have the Dolphins who have the 5th, 18th, and 25th pick all in the first round. The Redskins could probably trade the number 2 overall pick for those 3 first-round picks and still end up getting, say, Isaiah Simmons, Andrew Thomas, and C.J. Henderson at corner. Or they could go Jeffrey Okudah, Henry Ruggs, and Mekhi Becton. I mean, there's so many combinations you can go with that fills so many holes across the board. And at the same time, edge rusher is not the Redskins' biggest need at all. Technically, it isn't really a need. I mean, Ryan Kerrigan is up there in age, and I don't want him playing for us unless he restructures his contract. I don't want to pay Ryan Kerrigan $11.5 million this year, even if we don't take Chase Young. But still, with Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, Nate Orchard, and Jordan Brailford, edge rusher is not the biggest need on this team at all. I mean, Jonathan Allen can even slim down a little and possibly play defensive end. He definitely has the explosive ability to do so. So when you have all of these holes everywhere on the roster that you could just trade back, get more first-round picks, and fill all of those holes with young, great talent, I can see why people feel like it's not worth it to just pick one guy, especially an edge rusher, which is not a team need right now. It will be next year, especially if we don't bring back Ryan Kerrigan or extend him. But as of 2020, it is not an immediate need, especially compared to those other 7 position groups that I just said. I also see why people like Isaiah Simmons almost as much as Chase Young, if not more. He's very versatile. He's one of the best coverage players in this draft period. He can play safety, slot corner, outside corner, middle linebacker, outside linebacker, edge rusher. He said he wants to be more of an edge rusher at the NFL level, so that should intrigue teams a lot. He's probably saying that to increase his draft stock though, because edge rusher is a more necessary and valuable position in football than any other position other than quarterback. It's literally quarterback and then the guy that can get to the quarterback and then everybody else. So I can see how him saying he wants to be an edge rusher could just be a strategy out of his camp to increase his draft stock. But he is a pretty solid edge rusher with potential. He's a guy that you just put him on defense anywhere, pretty much except for like interior defensive line, preferably not free safety either. But strong safety, any of the linebacker spots, slot corner, outside corner, edge rusher, you can literally plug and play him any of those spots and you might get Pro Bowl talent out of him. Also, Jeffrey Okudah, with a lot of draft scouts, a lot of trustworthy draft analysts are saying he's the best corner to come out the draft since Jalen Ramsey. So I can definitely see how bringing in Jeffrey Okudah, we wouldn't have to worry about the cornerback position, at least number 1 cornerback. We'll have to figure out the number 2 corner, probably. But we have good competition there. So I can see how getting that number 1 corner locked down for many years to come could definitely be beneficial to the Redskins. And then you also have offensive linemen out there like Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Andrew Thomas from my Georgia Bulldogs, Mekhi Becton. They could all replace Trent Williams pretty well. Some of them may end up being as good as Trent Williams. I doubt it. All of them may not end up being as good as Trent Williams, which is very likely. But all 4 of them can end up being very good at the left tackle spot, and they could be a cornerstone piece for our team for many years to come at the left tackle position. Then there's also the great wide receivers out there, but it's one of the deepest classes ever. But even with the class being so deep, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and CeeDee Lamb separate themselves from the rest of the group. All 3 of those guys have star potential. Jerry Jeudy, who's like an Antonio Brown or a Chad Johnson. CeeDee Lamb, who's like a D-Hop. Henry Ruggs, who's like a Deshaun Jackson with better hands. You can go and snag one of those guys and put them on the other side from Terry McLaurin, along with Steven Sims, and defenses won't know who to cover. And like I said, the tight end class is not very good. I doubt any of those guys go in the first round, honestly. So there's no point in really talking about tight ends as far as trading back goes for more first round picks. We wouldn't use one then anyway. And as far as cornerbacks go, even just beyond Jeffrey Okudah, with like the 5th pick if we were to trade back, like I said, you can get C.J. Henderson, who's one of the best man cover corners in this draft, maybe even top 3, and you can get him with like the 25th pick in the first round. I mean, there's talent all over the place in this first round at many positions. And with the Redskins finishing 3-13, you gotta have a lot of holes, which I previously just proved that we do. So I can see how a trade back scenario could be beneficial for the Redskins. And as far as the Dolphins go, I can see them wanting to go ahead and get a quarterback this draft instead of waiting until the next draft for Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields because of the free agency signings that they made recently. I mean, they look like they're building to win now. Now that Tom Brady is out of the AFC East and he's on the Bucs now, it looks like the Dolphins are trying to go ahead and take the first place spot away from the Bills, who before free agency looked like the team to beat, knowing that Tom Brady was leaving the Patriots. So the Dolphins are like, let's go ahead and try to get this done now. A lot of their free agency moves look like they're trying to make a real playoff push in 2020, and they need a better quarterback to do so. I doubt they believe in Josh Rosen. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick was already named the starter like a couple of months ago or something like that for the 2020 season. Like going into the 2020 season, they already know Josh Rosen is the backup or something like that. It's crazy. And I know they don't believe in Ryan Fitzpatrick again. He's entertaining, but you cannot bet on him to take you to the playoffs. So I could definitely see where the Dolphins will be desperate for a quarterback. They're trying to take advantage of this non-Tom Brady window. Because if the Patriots somehow end up with another great quarterback, then they're ready to take over the AFC East again. Bill Belichick is going to keep that system rolling. And they're literally just a great quarterback away from taking over again. And I can definitely see the Dolphins and the Bills having an arms race and trying to win as soon as possible before Bill Belichick lands himself another great quarterback. I mean, what if the Patriots were to just tank this year and then go and get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields in next year's draft? I can easily see how that nightmare would get the Dolphins and the Bills doing the best that they can to try to win now. And so I can definitely see the Dolphins trying to go get their quarterback and try to go get themselves a Super Bowl this year before Bill Belichick gets another quarterback. So the Dolphins possibly would be willing to give up those 3 first-round picks, or 2 of their first, maybe the 5th and the 18th, and like a second and a third, or some combination that could be very appetizing for the Redskins and make them want to pounce on the deal. But now let's look at the other side. First of all, there is a scenario that the Redskins could trade back to the 3rd pick so that the Lions can replace Matthew Stafford, who they've been rumored to not want anymore, and they could just end up getting the quarterback that they can't wait to get. Probably going to get Tua or Justin Herbert or whoever. And then we can end up with Chase Young at the 3rd pick, along with another pick that we end up trading for when we trade down. Maybe like a 3rd or a 2nd. But even just beyond that, if we just stay at 2, if you take Chase Young, you're getting the best player in the draft. Probably the best player in any draft the past few years if he were to enter those drafts. I mean, he's literally like one of a kind. I know Isaiah Simmons is one of a kind, but he's one of a kind because of how athletic and versatile he is. Even though he's great at so many different positions, Isaiah Simmons is not better at any one of those positions than Chase Young is at being an edge rusher. That's just pure fact. Now, Isaiah Simmons does bring another element to a defense to where, since he's so versatile, you can get creative and do so many things. But that's going to be dependent upon whether a defensive coordinator is smart enough to actually use Isaiah Simmons to the best of his ability. I'm not saying Isaiah Simmons will flop, but he is pretty dependent upon which defensive coaching staff he goes to and whether or not the defensive coordinator is going to be willing to get creative and allow him to showcase his talents and get better and better. Chase Young, on the other hand, we could have Greg Minuski next year. As long as we're running a 4-3, all you got to do is tell Chase Young to just go get the quarterback, and you have yourself a future Hall of Famer on the edge. And you already saw how great Montez Sweat was last year, so having them both coming from both sides could possibly be the best pass rushing duo in the NFL, like period. And then having Ryan Kerrigan, hopefully on a restructured contract, like I said, and Nate Orchard, possibly Jordan Brailford if healthy, as part of the rotation, keeping everybody fresh, would literally be so dominant it's scary. Like, I don't even know what offensive line in football history could keep up with that. And also, an advantage to just going ahead and taking Chase Young and not trying to fill every hole now is because you already see that the Redskins are not trying to win 2020. Like, that's clear. There were so many big names out there that we could have gotten, and we just decided to just be fairly cheap, I guess is the best way to put it. With Eric Flowers, all we had to do was pay him $2 million per year more. We could have had him. Even though I'm glad we didn't get him, Austin Hooper, if we would have just offered a little bit more money, we could have had him. Amari Cooper was a lost cause because we offered him the most money on the market and he still didn't go to us, and I'm glad, thank goodness. But also with a lot of the signings we're making, a lot of high potential athletic guys with a lot to prove on 1-year prove-it deals or 2-year deals, and Ron Rivera is basically just going to send them out there to see what they can do, give them meaningful snaps, starter-like snaps, so they can actually progress and develop, and put them on the spot, make them actually play well against starting offenses and defenses in the NFL, like beyond just preseason action, actually put them out there in real games and see how they perform, and basically just give everybody a trial period. 2020 is going to be a big audition for a lot of players, especially a lot of these guys on one-year deals. Sean Davis at safety. A lot of potential, if used correctly, can bring you Pro Bowl talent at the free safety position, and he's also fairly versatile with some cornerback experience at the NFL level. Kevin Pierre-Louis is a linebacker that's very athletic freak at the combine just a couple of years ago, but Chicago never really gave him the opportunity to grow and shine by placing him in a starting role until those last few games of the season, and then he actually started to show a little something. He started to shine on tape for real, so he might be a sleeper pickup in free agency, but we only gave him a very cheap prove-it deal to see if he'll work out, and if he doesn't, just don't re-sign him. Same for Sean Davis, same for Logan Thomas at tight end. He used to be a quarterback, athletic freak. We'll see what he can do at the tight end position. They brought in Peyton Barber as an insurance policy just in case Darius Geis and/or Bryce Love get hurt, and they only brought him on a 2-year deal, so he probably has 2 years to prove himself. But really, if Darius Geis, Bryce Love, Adrian Peterson, and J.D. McKissick are all healthy, I highly doubt we're going into the 53-man roster with 5 running backs, so Peyton Barber would be the odd man out, because J.D. McKissick has so much upside at being the Chris Thompson replacement. I mean, he literally used to be a wide receiver. And if you watch his highlights, you'll get really excited about the fact that we got him. I mean, that was a very smart signing also. And then, of course, Adrian Peterson is the dependable, could get you 1,000 yards even at this age, and can definitely give you 16 games in a season. So if Darius Geis and Bryce Love would all be hurt, so those would be the 4 running backs, of course, because Darius Geis and Bryce Love have all of the potential in the world. But if both of those guys were to get hurt, it would be Adrian Peterson, J.D. McKissick, and then Peyton Barber. But I'm saying all of this to basically say that with a lot of these guys having some trial runs, and Ron Rivera wants everybody to prove themselves. I mean, you already saw with Quentin Dunbar, he was not going to even talk contract extension until he got him in the building to see what he can do. Even same with Trent Williams. I think that's one of the main problems with Trent Williams coming back, and one of the main reasons we're not offering him a better contract and more money is because Ron Rivera, no matter who you are, you're going to have to come in and prove yourself before we talk money at all, even for guys like Trent Williams. So this whole 2020 season is a trial run. So there's basically no point in trying to trade back and trying to fill all of the holes immediately when we're really just fighting for 2021 and beyond. I mean, it's a good idea, but I don't think it's best to try to fill every hole that we have immediately in this draft. First of all, some of the players might not work out. Like Andrew Thomas, Tristan Wirfs, Mekhi Becton, one of them just might not be as good as we hope. So it'll just end up being a wasted pick possibly. Every first round pick does not work out. That's another thing too, because Chase Young is like one of the safest draft prospects to come out of the draft in a long time. And his potential is like the highest. So it's just, he's like the definition of a can't miss. His injury history's clean. No off the field issues. Can't wait to come back home and play for his hometown team. I mean, he grew up an Eagles fan, but still, he's going to be playing in front of all of the people he cares about the most, family and friends, all of that type of stuff. So of course he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder, heart on his sleeve, all of that. But if we trade back, all of those guys, as great as they can be, Isaiah Simmons, Jeffrey Okudah, those offensive linemen, those wide receivers, they are less guaranteed to be great compared to Chase Young. I believe all of them will be great, but Chase Young is easily a more surefire thing than all of those guys. I mean, we've seen even when Chase Young is getting triple teamed and double teamed and chip blocked, he's still at least getting pressures, or offenses are having to focus their entire game plan on him, shifting the line towards him. If Chase Young's on the right side, making sure the play is to the left, like the running back is running that way, or receivers are running routes that way, so that the quarterback doesn't even have to worry about Chase Young. Quick pass out, Chase Young doesn't even have a chance to get there. And as long as the rest of the defense is as good as it should be, like ours, especially under Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera, teams won't be able to just focus on Chase Young, because then everybody else is going to eat. And then your whole offensive game plan is going to crumble. So Chase Young is going to get his. But back to the point about the hole. Like I said, there's no real reason to go ahead and fill all of the holes immediately, because first of all, we're not trying to win 2020, obviously. Second of all, I prefer for a lot of these new guys to actually get meaningful reps like I was talking about earlier. Real starting reps. I say this a lot, but just like Reggie Jackson would never have been as good as he was until he didn't have to play back up to Westbrook. Once Westbrook got hurt by Patrick Beverley in that dirty way, I'll never forgive Patrick Beverley for that. But once Westbrook was hurt for that long time, Reggie Jackson became the starter, got put under the spotlight, and was able to fully develop because he didn't have Westbrook in the way taking up his minutes and all of that type of stuff. And I'm not saying that everybody, if we give them a starting role, will step up to the plate. Like, I'm not guaranteeing you that Ronald Darby is going to be his 2017 self for the rest of his career or even stay healthy at all. I'm not guaranteeing you that Sean Davis will definitely be an upgrade over Monte Nicholson. I'm assuming he will, especially under Jack Del Rio, but you never know. I'm not guaranteeing you that Kevin Pierre-Louis will just be this Pro Bowl linebacker. I'm not guaranteeing you that Logan Thomas will make us not miss Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. I'm not guaranteeing you that recently signed tackle Cornelius Lucas is the answer over Morgan Moses. But I feel like at least 1, 2, maybe even 3, maybe even 4 of those guys, after having a season of getting real minutes in real regular season games, will actually progress and develop into real NFL starters. And if we try to fill holes, and if we try to fill all of the holes in the draft, and those guys never really get a chance to really prove themselves, then we will never know. And we'll just waste draft capital because those guys could have been the guys to step up. And we still could have gotten Chase Young. And at the same time, in this free agency, there's still some available people to fill some of the holes we have. I mean, we just signed Ronald Darby, so we'll see how the cornerback group looks. Jason Peters, the Redskins have talked to them, but they haven't gotten into anything advanced contract-wise. But they are interested in Jason Peters, but he, even at 38, will definitely be an upgrade over Donald Penn and could definitely hold down that left tackle spot while we try to develop Dwayne Haskins. We'll miss Trent Williams, of course, because, barely anybody in NFL history has been as good as Trent Williams. But Jason Peters, with all of his Pro Bowls, and still definitely has it at 38 years old, would definitely be one of the best replacement options possible. And then he could be here for 1 or 2 years, and then we'll figure out how we're going to get a starting left tackle through the draft over a year or 2 year span. He can basically be like a bridge offensive tackle. So there's no need to rush to fill the left tackle spot immediately in this draft. Bashaud Breeland, even though the Redskins aren't interested in him, we could bring him in to add him to the already, I don't want to say deep cornerback group, because there's nobody really proven in it, but there's a lot of potential in it from a lot of those players. So we could add him to the mix. And then Demarius Randall, if we could bring him in for cheap, he can compete against Sean Davis to let us exhale a little bit at the free safety position. Demarius Randall has looked better than Sean Davis in the past, so I'm surprised that the Redskins haven't gone to go get him yet. And wide receiver, Brandon Cooks is on the trading block. I wouldn't give up anything higher than like a 5th round pick for him, especially with him constantly getting injured and concussions and all of that. And his contract is a little bit too pricey for my taste. So there's Brandon Cooks and some other free agent options at wide receiver that we could go and get to help ease the hole that we have in the wide receiver group. But I definitely want Cody Latimer to get meaningful minutes and snaps to see if he could actually progress the way the Redskins believe that he can. And at linebacker, if you bring in Isaiah Simmons, that will definitely get in the way and stunt the growth of the young guys like Sean Dion Hamilton, who I feel like should be the main Mike. The Redskins may even feel like it's not even worth dealing with the Reuben Foster drama if we bring him in, and then we will never know what Reuben Foster could have been. Cole Holcomb, especially with how bad he is in coverage, Isaiah Simmons will more than likely end up taking his job, and I know a lot of y'all love Cole Holcomb. I like him a lot, especially in run support, but his coverage skills are a big liability, and if we were to draft Isaiah Simmons, you can pretty much say goodbye to Cole Holcomb, at least as far as starting and getting meaningful snaps, because Thomas Davis will more than likely end up starting at least week 1 just off of his veteran leadership and already knowing how Ron Rivera wants things done and all of that type of stuff. And he had a pretty good season in 2019. And Josh Harvey-Clemens, who was supposed to basically be like great value Isaiah Simmons, where he can play both safety and linebacker, great in coverage, but he just needed more weight to actually contribute in run support. Then he added like 50 pounds of muscle, got hurt, and we never actually saw what he could be. But his potential is there, and bringing in Isaiah Simmons would also get in the way of that. So as you can see, I'm clearly a big fan of just letting all of these guys that we currently have on roster going out there, trying to prove themselves, play their hearts out for that next contract to see if they can make big money, go and earn it. And if they do, we have great talent at positions that we need, in positions that we're still unsure of to this day, even with them there. And if they don't work out, we just release them and just reload in 2021. Which takes me to my next point. In 2021, as of right now, projection-wise, we will have top 3 cap space, which is a fact by one of those cap space analyst guys. But I've seen somewhere on Twitter, I'm not sure how true it is, but the Redskins could potentially have $130 million in cap space in 2021. So it's just like, let these guys who are currently on the team go ahead and ball out. Go and get somebody like Jason Peters to fill the left tackle spot just to hold down the fort temporarily. And then in the 2021 offseason, go stupid. Draft players that fill holes at the positions that we need filled. And in free agency, go and get those big name guys. I mean, in 2021, with possibly $130 million in cap space, but at the very least having top 3 cap space in the league, we can go and get some big names out there. And that will be the time when Ron Rivera actually will be able to go and get those big names that a lot of people wanted this past free agency. Because we'll have to pay Brandon Sheriff if we don't extend them before 2021. But Alex Smith will be off the books. Trent Williams will be off the books. And that's why we'll have so much cap space. There's going to be David Bakhtiari, the left tackle from the Packers. He'll be a free agent. We can go give him big money if we really want to. Justin Simmons and Anthony Harris will both be available again because they've both been franchise tagged. So we can go and get Pro Bowl, All-Pro talent at the free safety position if we need to. Derrick Henry got franchise tagged. If you wanted to go get him, we could. Mike Pouncey and Alex Mack, those top-tier centers will be available if we wanted to go pay them big money. Leonard Fournette will even be available if the Jaguars don't tag him. Jalen Ramsey will technically be available if the Rams don't re-sign him or tag him. Sammy Watkins will be available at wide receiver. My main point is just don't panic. Take Chase Young, get the best talent available in a draft in the past few years at the second most important position in football. Probably in all of sports. I mean, quarterback is like the most important position in sports. Edge rusher is right below them. So go and get the guy that's potentially going to be the best at that in the NFL. And at the very least, one of the safest draft prospects to ever come out. Like I said, no injury history, no off the field issues. Already has great technique, which can be improved on, but he already has a solid base and a lot of moves. So day one, he's going to be a double-digit sack guy with the potential to become an elite all-pro future Hall of Famer at the edge. And then just go crazy in the 2021 offseason. Like I said, in 2020, let all of these young guys, all of these trial guys audition, play their hearts out, see if they earn their spot in the 2021 Redskins and beyond. Because the 2021 Redskins and beyond are going to be winners. This 2020 Redskins is basically about to just be an experiment. Like I said, a big audition for a lot of players. Ron Rivera has shown that with his free agency strategy. So there's no point in trying to hurry up and fill all of our needs right now like we're trying to go to the Super Bowl this coming year. Let's just be patient, take the best player in the draft, and get ready to lock and load 2021. Also, with as much losing the Redskins have done the past few years, we've actually had quite a bit of talent everywhere on the team. I mean, we've had good receivers with Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson, Terry McLaurin last year. We've had good running backs. We've had good corners. We've had great offensive linemen. We've had decent to pretty good quarterback play. The only thing really missing has been just a dominant, consistent pass rush. Ryan Kerrigan has been dependable, but you would never ever say he was just this explosive, you gotta double team him every play guy. And that's what Chase Young brings. So at this point, with all of the talent we've had at all of these different positions for the past few years, and we just haven't been as great as we hope, even though a lot of it has been coaching in front office. But clearly we need to change things up. The one thing that we've certainly been missing the past few years has been a dominant pass rush. We've had literally almost everything else. And the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. Chase Young is something different. Let's actually go out there and get a future Hall of Fame, possibly the best edge rusher in the league, potentially, type of talent, and see how that works out. Also, another thing that's fairly noteworthy is that even though the Redskins may be a little bit more interested in trading back, it's still not very likely, just off of the fact that if it were possible, it probably would have already been done by now. I know trades are more likely to happen during the draft, but if somebody out there, like the Dolphins, were willing to give Redskins the value that the Redskins are willing to take, it probably would have happened by now, honestly. I'm not saying that as a fact, but it's definitely a real thing. If the Dolphins were to offer the Redskins, say for example, those 3 first-round picks, and that's something the Redskins will be willing to take, there's no reason for them not to take it today and risk not getting it on draft day when somebody else may be willing to take a cheaper offer. Like, since if they know that we may want Chase Young at number 2, maybe they can offer the Lions 2 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick, and then they're able to keep their first-round pick to just move up to number 3 and still end up getting the guy that they want. So the Redskins have to know that if the Dolphins were to offer them something that they wanted, the Redskins would just have to go ahead and take it and not risk missing out on that come draft day when somebody else comes with a better opportunity for the Dolphins. So like I said, that's not like a fact. I'm not saying for a fact that the Dolphins offered the Redskins something to the 2nd overall pick yet. But if they did, the Redskins either didn't like it, more than likely just didn't want it, because if they did, they would have just went ahead and taken it. But that's just me hypothesizing though, honestly. But as you can see from me giving positives for both sides, I'm definitely on team take Chase Young, which automatically means I'm also on team start Dwayne Haskins and don't take Tua, clearly. That's the worst option for me. I prefer to trade back and get Isaiah Simmons, Andrew Thomas, and CJ Henderson than to take Tua. That's the worst possible one for me. That's the worst option. My favorite option is clearly take Chase Young and don't look back. Safest prospect in the draft and the prospect with possibly the highest potential. It's literally between him and Isaiah Simmons. But like I said earlier, Isaiah Simmons is going to be fairly scheme dependent, fairly defensive coordinator dependent. Chase Young is literally line him up at edge rusher, let him do what he does. It's not hard at all. Even Greg Minuski would not have been able to mess that up, because Chase Young is even better in coverage than people give him credit for. So even with Greg Minuski wanting to drop Montez Sweat back in coverage, Chase Young would have been better at that than Montez Sweat. So there's literally almost like no way you can miss with Chase Young unless some unforeseen events come along. Because like I said, he has one of the cleanest injury histories in this draft also. So he's like literally the most you can't miss, you can't go wrong guy in a draft in a while. Not even just in this draft, but in previous years. And like I said, to me, he has the most potential because Chase Young is better at edge rushing and getting to the quarterback than Isaiah Simmons is at any of those things he's great at. He's great at a lot of things, but there's not one thing that he does as well at that as Chase Young does at edge rushing. The idea of having a very versatile player is great. If we don't take Chase Young, he's my next guy up, of course, but I prefer to go ahead and get the guy that you know for a fact is going to be a future Hall of Famer at one thing and figure out the rest of the holes we have, whether through late in the draft, because we can trust Kyle Smith. We've seen what he's done the past few years. He can make some things work. And then also we have the 2021 draft and 2021 free agency, which will be a big opportunity for us to go and get some big time talents out there. We can probably steal a couple of people from some teams. Like Jalen Ramsey from the Rams, if we offer him more money than the Rams are willing to. Stuff like that. We'll have that type of money where we can just go take people from places. Oh, I know David Bakari. I know you love being a left tackle for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. But what if we offer you way more money than they're willing to give you? Now we have a Pro Bowl left tackle. Same can happen for many of the positions out there that we need. But yeah, man, that's debate number 1. That's probably the lengthiest one. I'm going to come out with some more videos starting tomorrow of more debate topics. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Like this video if you learned anything. If you liked it, please subscribe if you haven't, because like I said, infinite content coming out. I have so many ideas that I need to get to y'all. It's just a matter of time and getting it done and getting it out to y'all. It's not a lack of content, but whenever something happens, I have to report it, and then I just push those other things to the side for a second. But now, after I'm done with these debate topics, I'm definitely getting y'all those top tight ends in the draft to help fill our biggest need. I'm still working on that Eric Coryell offense breakdown, just like how I did the 4-3, but this time it's for the offense under Scott Turner. The history of it, how players on our team fit in it, and how successful I think it'll be in the future. Also, why the Redskins shouldn't take Tua second overall. I mean, there's so many videos I need to come out with. I also am working on a mock draft. I'm starting one. So I want to work on that too, get that out to y'all as soon as possible. So make sure you subscribe, stay tuned for all of that. Also, of course, get in them comments and let me know which side are you on. Trade back or take Chase Young. Or for some of y'all, maybe y'all that third group that won too. Just let me know in the comments, debate. I will get in them comments. And again, I appreciate the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.